time.
I love hearing Joe Buck's voice there, getting excited. Tom Brady has reached his 10th Super Bowl, and it might be his most impressive yet. Not only is Brady 43 years old, it's also his first year on a new team with a new head coach and a new offense. It's also the first time Brady has ever played 3 road games to reach the Super Bowl as a wild card team. He just keeps doing it. Shannon, if Brady pulls this off, will it be his toughest and greatest championship run?
No, I still believe the first one was the toughest because he was much younger. Skipping is in a different situation. He beat the 3 seed. His first game, he opened with the 3 seed, which was the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders at the time.
I was there.
He beat them. And then he had to go beat a 13-3 seed Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. And then he had to beat what they thought was invincible, the greatest show on turf at a neutral site. So, Skip, I believe that was the greatest because I believe in this situation with the fans, there were 4,000 fans in the Superdome. There were 8,000 fans at Lambeau Field. And what it took away is what Aaron Rodgers and what the Dome was hoping for, the frenzy. We get a lot of false starts. Skip, they got 1 penalty. They got 1 pre-snap penalty. I don't think they had any at Green Bay. I don't think they had any against Washington. And so for me, Skip, I'm still going to say the first one was his greatest run because, and again, they were 14-point underdogs. They were only, They were favored against Washington. Maybe they were a slight underdogs. They were underdogs the last 2 3-point underdogs. But I still believe the first Super Bowl, Skip, I believe that was his greatest run, not this one.
I do not. I remind you, they should have lost the Tuck Rule game. And then I remind you, Brady hurt his ankle in the second half at Pittsburgh, and Drew Bledsoe had to come back from his injury to save the day at Pittsburgh. And then most people give Belichick more credit for the greatest show on turf game because that was a defensive masterpiece by Belichick. I always give you that one. After that, I'm not so sure about Belichick's defense from there on. But, Shannon, if you really sit back, and again, we're presuming that he would pull this off against your guy, Patrick Mahomes. If he does pull that off, then on degree of difficulty, I think this is the greatest postseason run in the history of sports, given where you started from, because he took a team that was 7-9. There was pandemic, there was quarantine, there was no real offseason, there was 0 preseason games. You get thrown into the fire in game 1 against your arch rival at New Orleans. You don't get a bye week until week 13 after the heart of your schedule, in which you got to deal with New Orleans at home when you got annihilated and humiliated, the Rams, and obviously the Chiefs at home. And you lost all 3 games. And you flip the script and the switch coming out of the bye week, and you take off. And as I keep saying, he did bring that team to a boil, but then they're forced to go on the road. I got you, no fans, but it's still against, think about this, the number 2 ranked defense in Washington, then the number 4 ranked defense and your arch-rival nemesis at Drew Brees, and then the number 9 ranked defense, Green Bay's, at Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers. Well, if he pulls it off against Mahomes, well, look at what you just did. You went through Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes. When all is said and done and the smoke clears on all their careers, will those 3 be in the top 10 all time?
Yeah, probably so.
They will, all 3 of those guys. I mean, the way you talk about Mahomes, he may wind up at number 1 all time.
Well, Skip, I would agree with you had Brady not been where he is currently. Brady did what he did in 2001, Skip, and he was just a little young pup.
Okay.
And you look at it, Skip, you keep talking about, the Tampa was the number 6 seed out of 7 spots, but they were one of the preseason betting favorites to get to and win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So the Vegas,
this year.
This year.
Okay, well, they weren't up high. I think they were like 6th or 7th.
Yes.
Right? Okay,
yeah.
But
they're 32 teams.
Okay, but they're up against the number 1 team, right? The betting favorite, the defending champ.
But a lot of people had Tampa. They bet. That's why Vegas set them. Vegas didn't set them 15-1. They didn't set them 50-1. They set them at the 6th or 7th best odds to reach the Super Bowl. They thought enough of Tom Brady and looking at that nucleus of what he was going to.
Okay, but even you said, and you know this game, you've seen this happen. You've been in 3 Super Bowls and won all 3 of them. It's hard to do it the first time around. Yeah. You always said from the start, maybe in year 2 you got a shot.
I thought it was year 2. But, Skip, it's kind of like the Ravens. I mean, it was the first year. We got there and it just, boom. We got hot.
Okay, but the defense was absolutely loaded with all-timers, starting with your man, Ray Lewis, in the middle of that defense.
Rod.
And it was arguably, it's up there. It's an all-time top 5 defense.
I just think the thing is, Skip, when you look at because you got to understand now what Kurt Warner was. He was a 2-time Super Bowl. He was a 2-time league MVP, a Super Bowl MVP. Marshall Faulk was on that team. He was 2-time Offensive Player of the Year and an MVP.
Okay, I got it, which is why they were 14-point underdogs.
Yes.
And I know going into that game, I gave Brady and company no shot.
Right.
I thought it was a complete and utter mismatch.
But you're at least giving them a shot in this game, correct? You gave them no shot in that game.
I gave them no shot. Well, sure, I gave them a shot, but I gave them a shot at Breeze and at Rodgers just because of the quarterback and his leadership, his all-time great leadership in trying to transform them by, as I keep telling you, he installed the Patriot way in Tampa Bay. And he taught them how to be professionals and how to win big games, especially on the road. So in the end, what he's up against, look, he's never going to get the credit because people are tired of him. They're tired of Brady. Like, I had enough of him in New England, now he's in Tampa.
But see, the thing is that when he wins, he gets all the credit. But you give all the blame to Coach Belichick. When he lost, you said his sorry defense, his sorry this. You see?
But it cost him the first Eli Super Bowl because he did his part.
Okay, well, Skip.
He got him in position.
So what game did Brady play that cost Coach Belichick a Super Bowl?
During the
Super Bowl, yeah. What game did you make it seem like he played great every Super Bowl? He threw for 300 and he was clean.
Well, he was pretty great in every one of them except for the Wes Welker play. And you said yesterday that Wes Welker should have caught the ball.
So what about that 80-yard pick six that he threw against Atlanta?
Okay, but he dug him right out of the hole. He threw for 246 in the fourth quarter and overtime. He put him in the hole, Skip. Okay, but he dug him out. Skip. The all-time great fourth quarter and overtime. Skip. No one's ever done that in the Super Bowl.
You waterboarded me, and then you asked me, are you okay? You pulled my head out of the water. You doing this to me. You pouring the water up my nose. You can't ask me if I'm okay if you doing it.
Are you saying Tom Brady waterboarded his team?
He was doing it. Okay. He put them in this hole, Skip, the 28.
How many times have you seen him dig them out of all kinds of holes?
All I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying, is that I think a lot of people are resentful of Tom, is that when he wins, he gets all of the credit. Nobody mentions anything else. But when he loses, you place blame on the defense. You talk about the Wes Welker drop. You talk about the miss this. But nobody gets credit. Ain't nobody, all you mention is Tom Brady against the Legion of Boom. Ain't one time have you mentioned Malcolm Butler in that play.
I mentioned him.
You talk about he lost the game. He hit Gronk right in the hands. Is Gronk lost it?
Well, I didn't say he lost the game, but he should have caught that.
So what about the fumble? Should Brady have held onto the ball?
Well, again, you're desperate because your defense has given up 41 to Nick Foles.
What about that drop?
He tried to make a late, desperate play and held the ball too long, got stripped.
What about that pass he dropped? Do you
think that changed the game? Really?
Did he drop the ball?
Well, it was a hard catch. I'm not even sure Shannon Sharp could have made
Nick
that catch.
Foles caught his.
Yeah. Well, it was a better throw. It wasn't straight over his head.
Right over his head.
You always tell me straight over your head is hard to catch.
That's Tom Brady. He the GOAT.
Okay.
You told me to go.
But in his Super Bowl matchups and clashes, he hasn't faced high level. Russell Wilson was pretty good. Kurt Warner's good, but he's a top 20 quarterback. But when you go Breeze, Rodgers, Mahomes, you don't think that's all-time? And again, I don't know if he'll pull it off.
I think Drew Brees had an all-time run when he beat Kurt Warner, he beat Brett Favre, and he beat Peyton in the Super Bowl.
Okay,
that was a pretty historic run.
No, but to hear you talk when we're talking about Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, those are your two pedestal quarterbacks, right? Yeah. And he has a chance to beat both of them back-to-back in a championship game and a Super Bowl. So if he would do it.
So if he loses, is this his biggest disappointment?
No, he's 43.
Why not? See? You see what you did? You won it both ways. It's a historic win if he wins, but if he loses, he's 43.
Well, he got this far by beating Breeze and Rodgers.